following is a presentation of MRE Uno, Division 1.
Automotive April rolls on here in the 2025 MRE Uno Tournament T2 as we get ready to go racing in the Diablo region here this afternoon. Gonna have a good matchup here to kick off a quartet of matchups here on a Thursday afternoon as we've got Drip on one side. He ended up getting taken to the limit back in the last series against DJ, was ultimately able to come out on top, but he's not going to be able to rest on his laurels because he's getting ready to take on a former Super League champion from 2023, that being Yepez. Yepez made very quick work of Ellison in his matchup, and these two get ready to go head-to-head to see who's going to move on to the next round here in the Diablo region. Let's take a look at how we've gotten to this point as we take a look at the bracket coming into this afternoon's matchup. Yepez, as we mentioned, able to take on Ellison. It's supposed to say up there on the underneath Yepez, supposed to say the number 8 seed Drip, who was able to get that 4-3 victory over DJ Curtis. The winner of this matchup will move on to the Sport Mode 16 to take on the upset win that wrapped up with Larajo able to defeat a 13-5 seed Clay Wolf. Larajo waiting in the wings for the winner of this one. Definitely going to be an interesting matchup in this one today. As mentioned, it's just one of a number that is going to be taking place this afternoon. Going to be having simultaneous matchups going on here as while we're going to be bringing you the broadcast of this one, there'll be the non-stream game in the Spider region between the 12 seed Radin and the 13 seed Ed. Also later on tonight, mentioned Peter Anjak. He'll be in action later on this evening against the 1 seed Nick over in the Mustang region at 6. And then prime time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight's the Diablo region. Once again, G-Man taking on Austin Rogers, a 10 versus 15 seed. But getting ready for this one here, 1 versus 8, Yepez versus Drip. I'm Seth Cole, being joined by KT. We're getting ready for a good one here, and when we talk about the fact here, KT, that Drip was taken to limit there with DJ, DJ's been on a slump. We've documented that, but he's definitely a formidable opponent as he put up that great fight against Drip. How do you think that is kind of, in a sense, girded Drip in preparation to go up against a former Super League champion in Yepez?
Well, these guys that both played each other, Seth, last year, it was the old Jungle July Classic, Yepez taking the better of Drip 4-2, and well, I think of Drip, I actually just played him. I played both of these guys last tournament, but one was more of a fun game. The other one was more of a serious battle. I'll start with Drip. I know how he plays. He's very calculated with his moves. He's not a guy that's going to go off the path. He'll put you in isolation, draw City out the wazoo. So expect a lot of round of plays and trying to get back into a rhythm where he'll find. Maybe it depends on a resiliency track, but look, we're about to see history here, Seth. Yepez will become our first ever player, assuming this thing goes 36 minutes, which knowing Yepez it will. He'll be the 24 hours of Yepez, and we've never had a player hit 24 hours in their lifetime in this league, so it'll be cool to get to that moment. We don't have a ceremony, we'll just announce it when 36 minutes eclipses. This is going to be a game of old school Uno. I think a lot of isolation is going to be in here. The pace will not be as rapid and frantic as we've seen the last couple days. They're both going to play a very calculated game. I'm looking forward to this rematch. Yepez had a a pretty interesting time against Ellison. I wouldn't say that 4-1 was indicative of how Ellison played. He played pretty good, and Yepez himself said that as well. And Drip, well, let's face it, he had some monster hands against DJ, and he profited off of that and got the win. And now he's here trying to pull the upset. Should be a good one. Both guys know what to do. They both know each other, despite it being the old bot now on a new platform for the first time in 2025 here in April. We'll see. Winner's got a lot of momentum on their hand if they can get. Yepez obviously made a Final Four, has the 5 bank, wins the start, Drip only with Deuce, and try to get a third one. A lot at stake. I think both guys are ready for the moment, for sure.
Definitely going to be all about momentum. We mentioned about the fact that it kind of seemed like a lot of the favorites when we were back in the suspension 64 were able to move on to tire 32, but now we're starting to get into that little bit of unpredictability. We've seen a couple of upsets here during the course of this bracket, and it'll be interesting to see who will be moving on. You got the number 9 seed trying to upset the number 1 seed here in this upcoming matchup as we'll take it down to the table. We got Charles Sanford reffing this one here this afternoon. Of course, 1 power play apiece to both of these individuals. Be interesting to see how that is utilized during the course of this series. And I don't know about you, KT. I'm ready to get this one going, but looking forward to this one. Should be a really good matchup. I think we're ready to head down to Charles to get this first call on the table.
Yeah, we'll do it for sure. Drip says he's gonna. I got his personal number. Can you give me like 3 to 5 minutes? I'm gonna try to go somewhere better, sir. That's fine. Well, I guess while we wait for that, we'll fill some data. You want to ask Yepez a question? Well, I just got that text.
Yeah. So Yepez, pretty good matchup with you and Ellison, able to move on with the 4-1 victory coming into this one. Now we've had quite a number of individuals that we would have thought more than likely at this point in time would have locked themselves into the sport mode 16, but a lot of the meta with this bot is not played it out in that way. We've seen some upsets, so with coming into this matchup, KT alluded to the fact that you faced off before against Drip. What are you looking at here in terms of your strategy? Because I remember when we had our last matchup and I was talking to Brad, who eventually ended up getting eliminated. I said, is there anything that you change up, or do you just keep your head down, keep what brings you to the table in terms of your strategy? And while he tried to do that, the bot didn't necessarily help out in that regard. So with that being said, do you at this point in time just keep it plan A as terms of your strategy? And if we end up seeing that same thing happen, where you may not necessarily get the luck that you're looking for off the draw or off of whatever a +2 is played or a +4, whatever the case may be, do we see you change it up just the least little bit here?
Yeah, I don't really know how much to say right now because we're waiting for Drip. All right, go ahead, Yepez, answer that. But as Yepez types it out, I think for Yepez, we talked about the revenge tour. Seth, you want to repeat that? Maybe
Yeah, sometimes I have long questions, sometimes I have no questions at all. Never in between. Basically, just are you looking just for plan A here, or will there be any point based off of the luck you get with the bot that you may have to change it up and maybe be a little bit outside of your comfort zone?
Well, he answers that in a more condensed form. I look at this game. Another thing too, obviously, Lero winning, a little bit of a shocker. A lot of people have been eating alive here so far. Seth, we talked about in round 1, the upsets were tame, and then all of a sudden, last Friday rolled around. I believe we're at 11 out of 13 games or some crazy number where the worst seed has become. And go ahead, you can go read that.
It says needs to be prepared. Anyone can win this league. Need to be focused and not do anything stupid. And, minimizing the mistakes. It's one of the big things that we talk about here in any series, no matter who's playing it. I'll let you get back to your Mondays, KT.
Oh, actually, let's go to the ref. Ref, what you got? Sanford, what do you have, my friend?
Yamba's up 2-0 in the other game, by the way.
Oh, okay.
He flexed a +4 on the end off of Skittles in game 1. Went classic checkmate with a wild rat and didn't have an answer in game 2.
Yeah, we'll have Sanford on updates. We'll not try to stress the system here, but as we wait for the ref here, as we have a ref issue down. Wait a minute. No, it's just Jay Caesar. But back to the point here, Seth. I think both of these guys need to. Now I'm getting more text. Keep filling the time here. This is Drip. Keep filling the time, Seth. Give me a sec, boy.
Yeah, no problem. But kind of just building off what you were talking about there, where we've seen quite a number of upsets here in the Tier 32, moving on to the Sport Mode 16, we talk about really 4 main points, and that's just, we already alluded to it, don't make any mistakes. Number 2, try not to play outside of your comfort zone. Number 3, don't fall for the eye candy. We've seen a lot of players, they'll see what the other person's doing on the other side, and they then step out of the comfort zone and try and counter that and find themselves boxed in later on. And then, of course, the ammo management. We have seen so many times where a player will think, all right, they're down to 2-3 cards. I need to play this +2 now to draw them back, and then the meta of the bot ends up giving a +4 or something. Obviously, it's nothing that you're able to perceive is going to happen, nothing that you can predict. A lot of times it comes down to luck, but in order to be able to make sure that you don't necessarily have your entire series based on luck, you've got to make sure that you hit all the fundamentals of play here in Uno, and we've seen a lot of players, even here in this Tier 32. We've even seen them do exactly that, but still come out on the losing end. So it's the adage, you can't take anything for granted. You could play the best Uno game of your life, the best Uno series of your life, and you could still end up losing in a 4-3, just depending on how the cards fall.
Well, the month has turned to April now, Seth. We're still a long way away from any sort of championship implications, but now you start to think about that in the back of your mind. There's only 4 players around currently. Yepez, myself, Ashley, and of course Nick locked in the Super League with 5 or more wins. Right, and that with the way everything's been going lately, no one has been able to get into that 4-win category. We've only seen, I want to say, just Lane and Toasty, the only other 2 guys with 4. The rest are 3 or lower, and they're starting to become a little breakaway here. And for Yepez, he can step on the gas a little bit more today and get that 6th win and really start to put pressure on, well, 5th on back. And Lane, we know, is going to play tomorrow. In terms of the championship, at least the regular season championship, you want to have that breakaway, get as many banker wins as possible before you get to the real portion of the season where the heat's going to turn up literally and figuratively with the weather when we start getting to the month of June, July. We're in a good spot right here, I would say, for both players in the sense that they both are calm about this match. They both know each other. And with this region being unpredictable, everyone thought Clay would have had an advantage coming in. Clay, Yepez, right? Well, Clay's gone. Lara's up, and Lara's a wild card, and you don't know what he can do. You can't take anything for granted. We know what he can do, but you don't know what he can do against either one. That's going to be something in the back of their minds. I think for Yepez, what's really been the key to his game over the last 36 months now, let's just call it like it is, 3 years here almost, it's been resiliency. And he said in the last series, looking back, I'm the king of resiliency, and he is. He's one of the best at it. You don't play 24 hours of Uno on the server and not be called a resilient master. So that's something Drip will have to keep in mind. Obviously, there's Drip again. He played a long series against DJ Curtis. Drip, can you get a hold? Can you get a copy of us? Feel free, man, just to type something out if you can hear us. But back to what I'm saying here, Seth. You're right, the fundamental. We've seen the bot meta has been very all over. No worries, man. We've seen +2 control. We've seen wild control. We've seen ammo control. You name any type of control, we've seen it. We'll see what the bot in this game has in store today. I'll go to Drip here. Drip, if you can hear us, my man. I just want to know and get a read on the sense of playing Yepez, the luxury you're going to have a chance to play with him, because you obviously had the rematch back in Jungle July, which was your last match of the 2024 season before the unfortunate ending to your season last year in T5 in Space September. But what was it like to play the resilience game of DJ in the sense that he went long and go from there? So your thoughts on that as we're getting some interludes here from the other game. That is insane. I'll have to look into that. But go ahead, Drip. Feel free to answer that. Looks like a defensive power play. That's something, Seth. But I'll look into that real quick. Your thoughts on the matchup ahead, Drip, for sure. And to look back to you, Seth, one other thing I think about for both these guys too. One other thing, with it being a rematch, I didn't even think about this. And it was on the old platform. It's a new platform. We'll see how the resiliency will matter, but it also will come down to, I think, who has the extra ace in the hole. They both are used to long series. This isn't a case where it was Vapor Tago where one had the endurance. They both know how to play the long game. That'll be very key, especially when we get into those game 6 and 7s if we get there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you mentioned, both of these individuals know each other very well. They've got a little bit of a playbook, having faced each other in the past, but to your point, that difference maker is going to be that we're on an entirely different platform, and obviously both have done well in adapting to said new platform, but now, facing off against each other, we'll have to see what they've learned, how they will apply it here in facing off in this rematch. So it will be interesting to see if maybe even with the new platform, maybe this isn't the same Drip or the same Yepez that they faced off against in the past. It could be a whole new other animal. That playbook that they had may just scrap it, throw it out the window. That may be something you can't even adhere to now because it's an entirely different system.
Yeah, you never know with the playbooks are ever evolving. This spot is still fresh and new. It's Seth, we're in Automotive April. We're legit on a fresh engine right now. This car is new, it's fresh. It's got a little bit of wear and tear, very minimal, but nothing crazy. Here we go. It's always a good time to play the champ. They were the first person to have played practice-wise in Strauss. I have been yearning for a rematch since he knocked me out last year. 23 champ is no joke, as they have been able to control games, win on skill, and honestly, I try to look at them to make myself better. I can't get swept again. Obviously, the first time I played, there was no sweep. It was a 4-2 long series. I think now we're ready to go and lock in, Seth. Nice 15-minute pregame to get us going. I think we're ready. Let's do it.
Hopefully we've whet the appetite of everybody watching, getting ready here for this matchup. Our first streamed game of the afternoon. And I believe that Yepez has got the call here for what will be the first game of hopefully a 7-game series, this best of 7. We'll see.
All right, let's do it. Charles Sanford, go ahead and say those most famous words. You're the ref. Go for it, my man.
All right, Yepez, I think I know what the call is going to be. I've had it pre-typed in here. What's the call for game 1 with everything on the board?
Yepez, gonna go type out. Sanford's got the pre-type. Let's see. We've seen stranger things.
Oh, well, I was one off. I had 15
well,
pre-typed.
Yeah, okay, well, one off, but here we go. OG, double OG, Seth, take us home for game 1.
Something big. I knew it was going to be something towards the top.
Yes, sir.
So we'll kick things off here. Going to start in the red. Red 2 to kick off this matchup. Yepez versus Drip, a rematch. We'll see who's going to be moving on to the Sport Mode 16 to face off against... I liked how Yepez said in the chat, Lara. That's how I kind of said it back during the last stream that I broadcasted as well, because I don't know if it's Laraju. I don't know how to pronounce that. So Lara just seems a little bit easier rolling off the top.
Yeah, Lara, but it's all good. Yeah, we'll see how it goes here. Like I said, winner gets there as we go for a little bit of a switch over to Yepez in a bow tie to Monkey with the 3 combo. And right there off the bat, we talked about the switching. It could be prominent for both players. They know how to switch.
Yep, got to be careful sometimes with that swapping as well. It could be to be able to get yourself over to the color you want to run in. It could also be to throw your opponent for just a little bit of time, but sometimes you got to make sure that you don't end up making that color swap too soon, because you might end up finding yourself boxed out and iced out on a specific color. Yepez, we'll see if he continues to run in the yellow or not. He was the one that initiated the color swap off of red.
This is the good old pace management here. Yepez taking his time, not rushing the process as he'll go into the Gradin 3. That's 3 colors, Seth. We're opening the Pandora's box early.
Yeah, yet to just see the blue. 3 of the 4 colors played, with only 4 cards currently down on the table, not including the card that initially started this game. We'll see if Drip answers here, if he'll run in the green, or if he will swap it over to another color as well. To your point, though, KT, both of them taking their time here, analyzing everything. Maybe a little longer on Drip's end. He is on vacation right now, so
Yeah.
it might be a little bit more distracting when you're on vacation playing in an Uno tournament than when you're in the comfort of your home and no distractions around you. But we'll see if he's able to overcome that as well here.
Could be internet too.
That could be as well. Little Ditto play.
Yeah, a little internet maybe, but no, we're all good though. All good so far. Don't mind the slower pace. It really gives us a chance to analyze the game a little bit more. And so far, 2s and 3s are wild. A little full house on that, and we'll see how Yepez continues to roll here in these greens.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a slower pace series that we've called, right? We ended up having our last 2, couple rapid pace, had the sweep on the last broadcast, so we get to talk a little bit more now.
Yeah, I like it. I don't mind this. It gives us some time to think about our move strategically as well as a commentator. There's the green one in the Ari as we go up to the Chombic, and you can see here, Seth, both are content to play a little mirror drive and mirror playing. Now Yepez looking to roll a little quicker. He's back to the yellow, looking for 2 color.
Interesting there because Yepez was the one that made the initial change off of yellow to the green and brings it back to the yellow here with the 8. Something else I'm noticing here, we've got a lot of number playing going on right now. We've yet to even see a double play with a skip or reverse. We're keeping any ammo that we potentially have stored up, maybe for something at the end. We've seen so many times, as we're now into the blue for the first time, we've seen so many times where we've ended up having a game finished off with a triple play, a 4-bagger, a 5-bagger. We've even seen a half dozen play to close out a game, and we're starting to get down into that territory as well.
Yeah, Yepez, the first one to go into the single digits on cards. Now Drip looking to respond as both players now pretty much vibing off the colors that they want. Here comes a potential, I'm going to say a potential run here made from Drip. We never know. Here we go. Yep. Small lot coming.
Little
double. First one. Yep.
Ends it off on the blue 2. And Yepez just with the single card play with the blue 4.
Looks like a little bit of a... Yeah, we get a little bit of stall there on the bot, but here we go. Now the pace picking up slightly as Yepez continues the switching to red.
Yep, now we're back to the red. We started with red. We're back to red. We haven't been on red since the initial card that was played. And now we will run in said color.
Drip going to go 0 sugar. Here comes a potential move from Yepez into the red 5 to DJ, and we're starting to run cleaner here now in the red. Drip still with the double play early up with the possession arrow. Can he continue?
Down into that 6 card area. Got to keep an eye here. Either one could have something loaded up. We've only seen one double play with the blue reverse. That's the only ammo card we've seen played so far here.
Yeah, really clean so far from both. Nothing too high octane here as we go into a little bit of a misplay there in the sand for now. And now the red zone. Here we are, Seth. Welcome to the red zone. Right there, 4 or 5 cards. We're starting to think about it now. Here we go.
Red zone in the color red. 5 cards apiece. Possession in favor of Drip. Now, Yepez didn't have the red 7, but... Oh, nope. Apparently, Drip didn't have the red 7 either, so play the red 9. Everybody wants the red 7, apparently.
Yeah, everybody wants that Night Walker, but right now, they're both going to play pretty clean. Let's see if Drip draws, or does he go for a little bit of a heat check into Seth himself.
Changes it over to the green after Yepez was iced out as well. Had to draw. Does that open up the door for Yepez? There's a 7, but this time it's in the green.
That's his own card. Yep, little base card action. Here comes Drip, though. Let's see what he's got in the green. Mace the break. Does he have a run? Looking for a finish. He'll play ALP and plays it clean.
Down to 2 cards. If you're Yepez and you've been storing ammo, you might want to think about... Oh, I was going to say you might want to think about using something a little defensively. Draw Drip back, but iced out on the green. Is this the finish for Drip with 2 cards remaining? Little ditto play looked like right there.
Drip dropped the check, though. Can he sign it? Nothing Yepez can do. Here comes Drop for the win. Will it be big drops? No.
Not able to get it. Yepez able to top deck that green 4, and now we're iced out on both ends. Going to go into a little draw city here.
First one for now. We'll see if Yepez gets a topper. Here he comes, loading up. He has a 5, I know that. Interesting. So Yepez calling a little shot. We'll find out. In the red now, does that help Drip, though? Was that a red 5? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Nope. So Yepez playing a little bit of a read game here. Gets a little ISO break in the red. Let's see how he can run this, interestingly enough. He'll sit there, but here comes Yepez now, looking for a load up. Taking his time. This is the thing, right? If you have a potential read on it, Seth, with that 5, you can play keep away. The question is, sometimes when you play keep away, is that an enabler? Let's see what he gets off this monster player. He's got to have something in the back end.
Not only that, but playing keep away, how much of a situation do you put yourself in with, potentially drawing cards when you may not have to. If he's absolutely certain about that,
Oh wow.
5, there you go. That's gonna help alleviate that situation. Little trips play with the double +2 into the yellow. And now Yepez with the advantage.
Almost a 10-minute game. We're tracking pretty well to be on there. There's the 5, so there you go. Yepez, we'll have to ask if that was off the draw from Drip or...
It could have been what he was holding on to for that last card, but to your point, he was given 6 cards there, so that could have been what he was given off that that stacked +2 as well.
6 new fresh tires for Drip. Let's see how he enacts that. We'll do a round of 4 here, so we'll play the ground.
6 tires, is that legal?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's street legal.
Not enough one, at least.
Yeah, 6 freshy tires for now. Oh, there's a switch over, though. That's in the lane.
Into the
wrong
check
number for
in
Drip.
Blue. What does Drip do here? Can he play number efficiency? Is blue what Yepez needs to close this thing out?
Says he thinks he's got me, so that means Drip's got nothing. Just hoping for a little prayer. Here's it, Drip. Nothing on the play. Here's Yepez for the win. He got reverse. There it is.
Blue reverse.
Yep. All right, Seth, go ahead and ask that question, Yepez. I'll get Drip in a second.
Yeah, Yepez, great job of drawing back Drip from the brink of Uno there. You said that you felt he had a 5 there to close it out. What was the indication to you that made you think he had the 5? Was it just the fact that he had that last card there as a 5, that next to last card, and so you thought he was going for the number efficiency? What was kind of the thing that tipped you off? Because we already talked about the two of you have history. You got a little bit of a read on each other. Was it something you adhered to from a previous time playing him that made you think that, or was it just the instinct of your years of playing in these tournaments?
Yellow 5, yeah.
It was the yellow 5. So you had the call there, KT.
Yeah, Yepez had the real read on that. I'll go ahead and Drip here, but that's a shout to the player. Drip, obviously a little bit more of a game where you couldn't use your usual reverse skip ISO. You couldn't use your usual tactics to draw the game and stall it out. Was that a case of trying to maybe use the aggression meter, balance the litmus test of aggression early in this first game, use it as a true feeler compared to the past where usually you could just go run wild on maybe some more isolation tactics? Oh, yeah, it's a number efficient play, 100%. And you got to think right there, Seth, too early for the power play. I don't think you risk that, especially in a game 1 where you both know each other. I'm going to BYR. Let's say, yeah, BR and a Y +2. Okay, so pretty low ammo. Let me look at the stats here. Nothing really to say anything other than that. I mean, no +4s, it was just a singular wild, no skips at all. Drip's got no +deuces. Pretty low ammo, unless he was saving something. Pretty low ammo game here. It's what do you expect? A little bit more than switching, though. Switching was a little higher on Yepez with the octane stuff. Sure.
Yeah, low ammo to your point really came down to number efficiency for the most part in this game. I mean, we even saw the game end off on a blue reverse. Wasn't even able to really utilize that. Had to get the color swap over to blue to finish it out with a blue reverse. So really only had, the one double play with the blue reverse early on, and then we had the stacked +2. But other than that, really it just came down to the number efficiency and the color swapping, as you pointed out.
Not trying to go aggressive early. Power play would have been able to finish it out, but it's Yepez. I'm trying to go distance. Might keep it for later. Had a wild off the initiative. That's just the way to curve. So pretty low from both. Nothing really to test the waters there other than a low ammo game here, Seth, and the ultimate game 1 feeler. We'll see how they both navigate the waters in game 2, but so far, pretty first gears kind of start in game 1. No, we haven't really wound up the gears just yet. Pretty low here.
Yeah, and of course as well, we documented Drip had that Game 7 against DJ back in the Suspension 64. So I mean, there's that temptation to want to get that 1-up on Yepez by utilizing the power play, but then you're kind of left on an island, stranded, if you end up having a necessity for a power play later on in the game. So smart there. I know you don't necessarily want to be the one that's behind at the start of a series, but there's plenty of room to be able to draw back and be able to take the lead. Preserving that power play, I think, was a good choice.
We'll go over to Sanford. Sanford, what's the update on Rad and Ned? What we got before we start game 2? What do we got?
Pretty sure they're actually still in. Yeah, they're still in game 4. Radin got back in the game 3 on the 9-card start with the unbase homestand. So Pretty even
All
there.
right.
Well, as I say, it's Ziemba's just power plays. So now no more power plays in that one the rest of the way.
It's like Egg gonna take a 3-1 just clicked over, so if he gets the power play to work, he'll be up 3-1, one away, looking to get himself into the S16. Let's go to game 2, and for that, we'll go back to Sanford for those most famous words.
All right, Yepez, you saved 15. Is now the time for 15, or are you going to 13?
Let's see what Sanford may have something pretty tight. We'll see. There you go. There we go. There we go. There it is.
Floor.
Yes, a little full sender action. All right. There's the copy paste coming in from Charles Sanford. I'll take the game 2 call here.
I was trying to make sure. I was waiting for you to confirm. All right, I was waiting for you to confirm.
Pump the brakes.
OG,
pump the brakes.
I didn't say it was
full
a 15
send.
or
OG
13.
full send. OG full send. That's what happens when I get distracted watching too. I'm not gonna lie. I just want to make sure you get. I know you Yepez City won updates to those games, and that's my fault. I almost missed the scoreboard. That's on me.
Well,
but we'll go back to it now.
On reverse, we kick off game 2 with a reverse in the green, and Drip gonna be the first one to initialize the color swap right off the bat here from the green into the yellow.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that from Drip, right? He talked about the aggression, maybe not so much on it. Oh, he got caught napping on that one, though. Great move from, I guess, Yepez to kind of get Drip off kilter. Who knows, though, with the internet? Who knows? Maybe he just could be timing a play or two, but now Drip can have to recalibrate on that one. Now the question is, Seth, it's keep away on that yellow 7.
Exactly.
How does Yepez play that, basically? So is it a yellow 6? Let me see. That'd be crazy if you can go back to it. That would isolate it. Yeah, it might be internet. Yeah, I figured. Okay, so 5, we'll go to JT. So far, I would say this game, for sure, as we go to a double JT. Ditto it up. Pretty similar to the last game here, Seth. Early switches. Pretty mirror playing. Nothing out of the ordinary here on the higher stuff. What we expect.
Yeah, and we started now with 13 cards as opposed to the 14 we had in game 1. We'll see if there's a little bit more in the ammo distribution. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think we had, maybe 3 ammo cards for Yepez, and Drip had nothing in terms of ammo there. So we'll see if he ends up having more to be able to work with here. Is now Yepez with the color change over to the yellow 8. And Drip answers right back, says we're going over to the red.
So Drip gonna keep the yellow 7 in the back pocket. Goes to red.
Yeah, interesting there, because Yepez was ready for the yellow 7 to be played right there as well, and Drip says no.
Little cat and mouse. I mean, that's a little cat and mouse. Like I say, they both know each other. A little cat and mouse here. You gotta expect that from both formidable opponents. Now we'll see what Drip can do. Let's see if he's got a crazy save on that yellow at the finish. We'll see. Could have hit a little camo. We'll find out.
Yeah, one would have thought that with already the general knowledge that he has the yellow 7, he would have gone to get rid of that as soon as possible, had the opportunity there, but we'll see if that comes back to bite him later on here, because obviously Yepez had that read on Drip in the last game, knowing that it was a 5. He didn't know what color it was.
Wow.
And now he knows. Oh, here we go. It's like he's trying to draw it out.
I don't think Drip's going to buy into that, though. That's the thing. I don't think he's the kind of veteran player that won't buy, even as a novice. He's a veteran player in life. He's not going to buy into those games. I got a feeling.
Let's see if.
And if he does, it'd be very calculated. If he does, we'll find out.
If he draws him in, because I mean, remember too, with knowing that the yellow 7 is there, Yepez could want the color to swap over to yellow for him to be able to gain an advantage. He might have something in yellow that he can run with, and Drip says nope. He's going to keep it in the red.
It's intriguing. It's a cat and mouse game. It's cat and mouse for sure.
Don't let him in your brain. Don't let anybody in your brain.
Red free, says Yepez.
Oh, man.
Well, now he's forcing his hand here. That's for sure. You watch.
Oh, the answer right back to the red. Look at this.
That the crossover. You know what? That's a case of Yepez tried to suck it out of him, and now this is what Drip does best. Let's play ISO.
Into a little draw city here, both iced out on the red. Normally we end up having a lot of hype when it ends up being a card that we don't know that the person has, but pretty good amount of hype right here, knowing a card that somebody does have and they're not playing it.
Well, now, are we gonna work our way around? We're gonna finally release that 7 right here. That'd be something.
I don't know. I mean,
this is funny.
It's like watching one of those movie trailers. Coming soon.
Yeah, the coming attractions are out of control right here. Well, let's say here's the moment of truth, I guess. Let's find out. See if Drip obliges now on that Grim Reaper, the old CEO.
Nope. We're back to the red again.
Unbelievable. Playing hokey pokey on 2 colors.
That's interesting too, because he would have had. He was the one that initially played off the red that they were both iced out on with the yellow 1, brought it back to yellow. And now Yepez there with a red reverse. So I don't think those were necessarily top deck draws. They actually kept something in red, and then maybe drew another card past that.
Yeah, now Drip, if he does, oh, he checking now. Man. Well, let's see here, because at a certain point, you gotta think there's the yellow connector. Maybe. This is an interesting one, Seth.
Oh, there's the power play. There's the power play after drawing it over to the blue. Does he get it back? There's how he gets it back to yellow.
Wow, that's a crazy workaround play. There's the 7. That's it. Got it tied up. Well, no power play, but what a hokey pokey way to tie the game up. I'm going to say so myself, Seth. Let's go over to you for a question for Yepez and why he was trying to suck it out, and I'll get a Drip in a second.
Yeah, Yepez, obviously, we saw that little misplay there, obviously the internet on Drip's side, so we all knew that he had the yellow 7. We saw you try not once, not twice, not 3, but 4 different times to try and draw that yellow 7 out. What was the reasoning behind that? Was it to just make sure that that card was no longer on the table, that it was going to be gone, or did you have something that you'd be able to run within the yellow, and you wanted him to initiate the color swap over? Since he needed that yellow 7 to be played.
So on top deck. Okay. I'll go to Drip. When you make a misplay like that, right? It's nothing too serious, and your opponent's basically playing a mind game. Talk to me how you stay composed in that moment. And then, was it a case of a similar... I mean, I repped that game against DJ with you. Was that a case of just a monster ammo hand, and that isolation only added to the inevitable of what your hand was? I gotta assume right there is he'll answer that. Probably a monster starter, Seth, and then lucky on top decks. I think just add to the inevitable. Gotta think that's what happened there for sure.
Yeah, and credit on that misplay as well, as you said, staying composed, because at that point in time, then your initial thought is to do everything in your power to try and make your opponent not remember that you have that card, or to get rid of that card immediately. But the fact that he kept continuing to not play it, kept saying, no, you want to draw it out, but I'm going to keep you waiting, and was able to utilize it there in that 4-bagger to close out the game. Very impressive, very impressive. Normally not what the initial thought process would probably be for the average Uno player, but he played it very well here. Kept Yepez guessing. And as Yepez said, he needed that yellow 7 because that was going to help him in what he needed to do to be able to run in yellow, and Drip was not willing to oblige.
Well, we'll see how it goes with terms of Drip down on a power play, but took the possession. We'll see. Well, I truly think there's 2 games, on table and at the table. The cards are on the table where the players are at, and you need to know who you're playing to have a chance. I also saw a win and took it this time. So that's interesting. More of an instinctual power play. We've talked about that theory before, Seth, where it's not about maybe just using the power play to finish the game all the time to get the series win. Just use it instinctually. We'll see. Yepez, a guy, ironically, that does that sometimes. So he's got the power play advantage. We'll see how that one goes down the long end. And pretty good back and forth so far, despite 1-1. And here comes Drip. Maybe learning some lessons from the past, trying to use it, his best stuff against a top-tier player.
Yeah, and back-to-back games that Drip has said that he was able to use the power play to be able to finish out the game, decided against using it in game 1, but uses it here in game 2 to draw it back even 1-1. But to your point, if this thing starts to go into extra innings, we start getting into that game 6 territory, maybe even finish this thing out with a game 7, Yepez has got that advantage of the power play when and if he needs it, and it could be a difference maker into closing out a series victory.
Indeed, and we'll wait for Drip to type it out. The other game's still 3-1. Radden starting to... Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's 1-1 is more doable than 2. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. You don't want to go down 2-0 against the former world champion. Makes sense.
It's a good point.
Play
a
it
very
there.
good point.
As I said, still 3-1 Ed, still trying to get it going, and I'm going 12 on this one, Anka. All right. Well, we're going to go for the 12-bagger. 12-pack.
So we're just steadily
What is this?
coming down the skyscraper. Another floor.
Not serious there. All right, well, we'll go to the lane card to start us off, and yeah, I think this is going to be a case of here's Seth. Who switches first could give us some more clues. The first one to switch has ironically lost the game, and well, there's the switch.
Yeah, right off the bat. It's interesting, too, the continuity. We ended up having game 1 end on a reverse. Game 2 started on a reverse. Big talking point was a 7 in game 2, and we kick it off with double 7s here to start game 3. So, yeah, some nice continuity out of the bot in terms of the series end and series start so far in these first 3 games.
Yeah, it's very, very intriguing to say the least, I think, Seth. I think both players have set a precedent as we go into the Aria 1. We're not afraid to switch, but there's also a little bit of some strategically placed switches. We're calculated for why they're doing it. Yepez loading up. Takes his time and let's see what he's got. They have been pretty much mirror playing the whole time. The first 2 games, let's see if that continues. So I got the scoreboard all ready to go, ready to rock and roll here.
And we've seen in these first 2 games as well, both of them for the most part willing to hold out on their ammo till 2/3 through the game, or as we saw there with Drip until the very end of the game. So you got to wonder if we will continue to see that trend, or if there'll be some point that one or both of them will think, you know what, let's throw a little curveball. Let's start using some ammo right out of the gate. But with these high card counts, probably not going to see that as much because you got so much wiggle room. If we end up starting to get down to that mid tier, especially down to the low tier with the 5 or 6 card start, then you may end up seeing those ammo cards fly out pretty early.
Yepez aggressive so far in the switching. Went the red to blue, and he's starting to run a little bit more of these games. Let's see if Drip's got anything in the back end.
He'll cross over into the yellow.
Yep, that's going to open up Pandora's now in the monkey. Now let's see what Yepez will do and respond. He'll play a claim. Back and forth we go here, Seth, but the only difference so far has been just a little bit of an extra heater from Drip. Of course, at home with possession there. Other than that, nothing crazy. And now Yepez can claim it right back with a draw.
Drip out of the yellow. We'll see if Yepez has anything he can work with here. Well, there's that yellow 7. Yepez had it this time. Maybe it's the second yellow 7. Maybe it's not the yellow 7 that Drip was holding on to game 2. Who knows?
Yeah, we're back to that again.
And Drip's still iced out.
Drip ice, nothing on these toppers.
Yepez down to 6 cards. Right on the fringe, maybe, of the end zone here. We've seen people end games out with 6, and he'll play a trips, swapping over into the red. Does that open up the door now for Drip to be able to utilize? Yes, he does. Double plus
huge
2,
play.
at least.
Yep.
Trip play there, stacks the plus 2, and now just completely flip-flops. Yepez had 6, Drip had 9. Now Drip with the 6 and Yepez with the 9. Drip with the possession, as you mentioned, with home game as well. So now, the ball in the court of Drip.
I think right now you got to look at this, and I think for Drip, playing that aggressive style, the Trip's playing out the worst move.
Oh, but look at that. Right back to the yellow for Yepez.
Does he have a 2, though? Oh, he can save it! Good save from Drip. Big save from Drip.
That's a huge save.
Do you have any more in the tank, though? Any more left in the reserve tank? Let's see. This would be a real test for Drip if he can get some more reserves in yellow. That would put a little bit of a statement right there, Seth, if he can do it. Let's see. Or just even a switch. Let's find out, because you never know what number of fish in this league. Drip taking a little bit of initiative right here. Paul Heater. There we go.
Put it into the blue, which, if I'm not mistaken, we were only in for a cup of coffee at the beginning of the game. Yeah, so we'll see what Yepez has here. Got hit with those 6 fresh cards with the stacked +2s. Oh, and he's going to answer right back with a stacked +2 of his own. And then
he leaves it
into
open.
the draw, yeah. Left it open on the green.
Check that CH tab. Well, we're finished on green +2, so this would have to be, yeah, we'll say something different. There we go. So Drip back in the lead with a little scoreboard flipper. Yeah.
It's been a back and forth in terms of the possession here on just the last 4 plays alone. It's almost like a tennis match.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what you want from a game like this. Now the question, because if we get into this high ammo octane war, who would that favor? Because these guys both have isolation in their back pocket. This would be an interesting storyline. Drip draws here early.
Iced out, at least it seems, of the red. And
Well, he might be getting free now.
Yep, yeah. gives him an opportunity here with a swap over to the green. And you brought up the ammunition. Question is, we've seen both utilize a lot of ammunition, specifically in the +2 category. What, if any, ammo could they still have in store?
Wow. Quad 4, how about that?
And then
well, we'll see here,
5 here. Looks like we're going to run in green. Well, thought we were going to run in green for a while, but now Yepez and Drip both iced out in said color.
This is what I was saying. They want that isolation game. They both played this very similarly in terms of just understanding each other and when to ice out. Now, just about to say, we hadn't seen much any other color than this green. 2s, 3s, 4, 5, 7, just missing the higher tier numbers, 6, 8, 9, and 0. And so you wonder if they're hiding something back, maybe in just numbers here, reverse skip meta, for sure. As I just been informed that Edward won the Series 4-1. Congrats to Ed. He'll move on to play the winner of you or Ashley sets. That's interesting to keep in mind.
Yeah, we going to try and use a second power play mid-run.
We'll deal with that later. As we continue to move over here, we go to the Vapor G6.
That opens up for the color swap. Now over into blue. They built up their hands pretty good. See how long we run in the blue before we end up seeing any potential ammo that they may have drawn. Might be holding back. Might see a lot more color swapping again here as well, but of course both iced out on the green, so we already saw Drip hold back some cards that he could have played on a color that was currently down. His little ditto there, and now over into the yellow. So, did either one of these guys hold back some green for a little bit later on in the game? Don't know. We'll have to see.
In the yellow again, so we're really going around the rainbow here as we'll go into a Brock to the Acosta. There we go. From the first floor to the top floor. Now Yepez looking to load up right here. And now you got to think, as he goes back to red here, it's a light switch game. Who wants the light switch and who wants to play the number efficiency to maybe bank on some ammo in the right color, right? That's really it. Can they bank on the right color ammo and who switches off to prevent that? Well, defensive strats going on here.
Yeah, do you think that these color swaps we're seeing is more of a defensive play, trying to feel out the other side, see what color they really actually want to run in?
I had a feeling Yepez with the early switch and didn't have much and was forcing Drip's hand to really allow him to play some of that ammo and get it in return. So we're going to have to ask him that, but I think Drip had the upper hand in this game, and now all of a sudden the momentum shifted off that first nuance +2s. Well, we'll see. We'll have to keep that in mind back pocket when we finish this game, but that's my gut feeling on this one.
Drip now iced out on the red, so one would assume a 2-color hand right now. And Yepez going to go over to the blue, which I believe would be one of the colors that Drip can run in.
Absolutely. He had the blue wild. Yep. Yep, and he had that blue wild earlier set, so you got to think for Drip, this is where he wants him. Here we go. Oh, wow, gets out of it, though.
Back to the yellow.
There you go, into the deuce. There you go. So that's Drip in the lead now, just like that. Flips the script. So gets out of the blue wild early. That's just... I mean, it's interesting. You had the blue there with the wild. I'm interested in that one. I'm looking back. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Used the blue wild and then didn't stay very long in blue when we ended up getting over to that color. Immediately used the 2 skips to get back over to yellow. So yeah, I'm with you. That's an interesting one that he would have burned the blue wild if he was just gonna stay in that color for a cup of coffee.
So yeah, Yepez attacks this one. Very interesting. I'll make another note of that one. But you look at this. They both have been playing a lot more of these tricky games, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see. See how Yepez responds here. You gotta think at minimum an isolation attempt, if not something bigger.
He's taking his time here. This may be something big. 5 cards from the finish for Yepez.
You gotta be thinking something big here. I wouldn't. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't just a +4 or something, or maybe a run to the finish. We haven't used the +2s nor yellow reverses, so he's going to power play himself and take the 2-1. Okay. So that's going to ice out the power plays, though. So for the rest of the game,
very early on, not even at the end of our 3rd game.
All right. Well, that will make this a more interesting series here. Potentially 4 more games on the docket with no power play. Basically, just a bare knuckle fight. And there it is. Reverse skip meta gets the job done. And man, what a crazy storyline here so far to set. No +4s or wilds for Yepez. As Drip had more of them, but it's been pretty even other than the reverses so far, and most of them were just in that one play. So really low ammo game for the most part. Just a back and forth. Go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah, Yepez, I mean, we ended up seeing you just before you called that power play. You brought up the point that the yellow +2s, they were still out there somewhere. The yellow reverses were still out there, and we hadn't seen a single +4 played here in this game. It kind of looks like, at least here, that the power plays have been utilized in terms of momentum. Did you have, and obviously it looked like you had a finish there to be able to draw this up to a 2-1 if one of those reverses or the +4s or the +2s were not utilized by Drip. But I mean, is this going to be something now, because he used the power play back in game 2, it gave you the freedom to be able to utilize your power play here?
Only fact says Drip. I'm going to go to Drip. Drip, a little bit of a tricky play there with the blue wild. You were really to get off of it. Did you think in this case you were trying to go more camo look on some of these wilds and some of these early +2s? Was it a case of maybe you were just banking on Yepez with the switching, maybe had a possible run? Or did you feel confident doing an early, I guess, bow shot right there on the +2s to think maybe, hey, you know what, you want to cover off a +4 finish? And ultimately a little bit of more of an echo chamber move, which we talked about last year. Interesting game so far, Seth. They know each other. It's been probably different than the first time they played. The first time they played, it was ammo galore. This has been really controlled, nothing crazy. I don't think we're really been at a point where either player has lost control. It's going to be interesting how Yepez navigates the waters here and navigates the roads ahead with just nothing on the +4s and wilds, and how Drip as well, who seemingly has more of the +4s and especially the wild cards, how he tries to win games with that. That's going to be the storyline moving forward for sure.
Yeah, and with no power plays available either, what we've really seen out of both of these guys in these first 3 games is their ability to read. To be able to read the opponent and what they think the tendencies are going to be. You go back to game 1, Yepez was pretty sure he knew that it was a 5 that Drip needed to close the thing out, and so he drew it away from that opportunity. And here in this one, I looked back. The initial swap over to the yellow was done by Drip. And so Yepez is thinking, all right, he's over there. He may have some ammunition to be able to utilize in said color. He knew what cards were still available. A lot of ammunition was still out there possibly in the yellow to be used against him, and he used the power play. And I guess, I don't know if it can be dubbed an offensive defensive play, but it in a sense is that, to be able to take away that advantage from Drip, but also be able to give him a path to be able to draw this series up to his advantage now 2-1. So both of these guys have done a great job on reading the opponent and playing accordingly. That's why we've seen a lot of setbacks in terms of what looks like could be an initial plan A strategy on both sides. And I think that that's going to be the running theme as we continue on here. And now it's just straight up. No power play advantage on either side.
Bare knuckles, it was more of a drawback. I need to give myself a big shot to win disregarding the +4s, which I have not gotten since the Game 2 win. It depends. You have to throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks to make sure that noodles are cooked enough to really carry that beautiful sauce. Much more midfield on both sides. Yeah, it really. I don't think it's the ammo's not been the case today. It's been more of the reading on the switching and more of this reading game. We have seen that meta before, but it's not a meta you see all the time, Seth. Because when you read your opponent, most likely you'll see that in a rematch. You don't really see that in a first time. For example, if I don't know, let's say if Drip played. Drip and I never played right in a sanctioned match last tournament, so the reading was a little bit different. But these guys both know each other. It makes the reading a little easier, despite it being the old platform. You can just understand both metas and which meta do you pick that will ultimately get you, as Drip said, that perfect tomato on that pasta sauce. We'll find out.
And it's interesting that we're in that meta as well, since we haven't started a game with less than 12 cards. Normally with the high cards start, you would think that there'd be a lot more ammo to work with. With what we're seeing here, the type of playing we're seeing, that's more of what we'd see in a mid-tier start or something like that, somewhere between maybe 6 through 9. The fact that we've had these double-digit starts and we've been playing almost a mid-tier start type strategies is very interesting, and you got to wonder if that's going to change. I mean, we've still got a lot of door open to be able to continue to run with the high card starts, with obviously with Drip winning 1 and Yepez winning 2. We may end up seeing a little bit of a double back on some of these card starts that we've had, depending on whose possession it is.
Yeah, indeed, and that's going to make the thing interesting. We'll go to 14 here as Drip decides to take Charles Sanford out of one. Well, we'll see. Big moment right here. Can Drip get this tied up, or does Yepez start to run away? It doesn't matter about the power play now as we go into the non-4. It's all bare knuckles from here on out.
Yeah, we started this series on 14 when Yepez had the initial possession. Yepez was able to take that first game. We'll see if Drip is able to get a 14-card start of his own to draw the series back even at 2-2 as we kick things off in the blue. I believe this is the second time that we have started off in blue. I think we were a blue reverse to kick off game number 2. And we didn't run in blue for very often back in game 3. We were there for a brief moment at the beginning, and then we were there for, I think it was 2 cards near the end of the game. So we'll see if we run in blue a little bit longer here with the high card start.
You never know
Nope,
this
we
league,
don't.
man. You never... Yeah, I was just about to say, you never know with these guys. They can switch at any moment, and there you go. But let's see how this one goes for real. As Drip, another guy to switch early. We've seen the person that switches early, I'm not going to say opens up the door for clues, but we start to understand the clues a little more than, let's say, in the past. That's something to keep in mind. Your thoughts so far in this game, Seth? I think, like you said, it's a little bit of a different meta where they both read.
It really is.
Yes.
It's a little unusual because with how we've seen both of them play, and they've had to play this way out of necessity with what they've been given in terms of the ammunition, but it's more of what we normally see for a mid-tier card start where you don't necessarily have the opportunity to be able to accumulate ammo. Normally we end up having 12 through 15. You have quite a bit of ammo to be able to work with, and we've not seen that as much. They've had to really rely on the number efficiency, the light switches as well, and especially as also the card reads of almost predicting what's on the other side and planning accordingly.
Yeah, we'll get to that 203 mark. Yeah, and we'll see what Drip does here. For 8 minutes, we'll get that ceremony going. And if we get there, we'll get it after this game. But realistically, here you gotta think. I think for Drip, he's still in a good spot. You look at the way he's been able to switch as well. Same with Yepez, as there's another switch. I think they both have got what they wanted in this series. I don't think either one is going to complain about the other in terms of switching. It's just going to come down to how you read the switches. I think that's what it's going to go. Is there's a trip 9 right there. How about that, Seth?
And we're back to blue,
Into
right back where we started.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll get the Pandoras. Just waiting on that. Well, hard to really say this Pandoras because we really haven't been able to feel out every color. Now we're going to start feeling out the blue here. Interesting.
Yeah, we've yet to have the swap over to the red. Got the feeling that's not going to be that far away. Might be right on the horizon here as we're going to continue to run in the blue for a little bit here. And, you know, we go back to as well, you know, we've talked about, you know, the entirety of this tournament, but more specifically here in this Tire 32, there's been a lot of great gameplay, very limited mistakes. A lot of it just comes down to, you know, the meta with the bot, the ammo that's distributed, all that type of stuff. And we're seeing the same thing here. We've obviously got the power play utilized in the first 3 games on both sides, but we've seen some great gameplay in terms of the reads, in terms of the number efficiency, and the light switches as well out of both these two individuals. And I don't necessarily foresee either one of them putting a foot wrong here. It's just really going to come down to another thing that we talk about as well, and that's timing. Who's going to have that preemptive strike, and will it be too little too late for the other one to be able to do anything about it?
Oh, there's the preemptive switch. We've seen the strikes. Now we'll switch to the old R7 now tonight, and Yepez still up the possession. Looks to run down the red as we continue to go into Pandora's, running that up. Triple Eyes are just joining us late, trying to get this to even. Yepez looking for the 3-1, but no power play, so that's going to be the interesting for both sides, how to navigate that. Trip taking his time right here. We're going to fill this one out as we go into red, trying to understand maybe there's a break in this said red. There we go, into the Ghost one. Gotta think here, Seth, for both players too, as they continue to feel at this red right here. There comes a limit on the switching too. There comes a point where you almost want to bait the other player in the switch before then. It's almost a read before a read. We'll have to look into that as well. And here comes Yepez. Maybe onto something right here.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, when is too much in terms of the light switching? Like, obviously, it's a feeling out process. You're trying to draw out those ammo cards as early on in the game as possible, so that way you may have an advantage ammo-wise near the end of the game. But, you know, at what point is... Here we go, little trips play there with the skips into the 2. We're now into the yellow. But, I mean, at one point, is it too many times that you then find yourself trying to feel out the opponent, but maybe taking your eyes off the ball, which is making sure that you've got a path to be able to close out the game yourself rather than get yourself iced out in a specific color.
There's just one. We'll get to him a little later. As we go into a little switch back to green, so that's interesting there, Seth. We saw Yepez flip the green into blue, and yeah, I was just about to say he had some in the back end. There we go, back to blue, 2 color now.
Back into the blue. Drip initialized the swap off of blue to the red earlier, so did this ice out Drip, or is he able to continue to run in the blue?
And Drip going to go aggressive right here. You got to think. Yeah, I was going to say back to the green.
Yeah, so he was, I think he was iced out. He'll draw it back here and ice out Yepez instead.
Good move there from Drip. I like that move. You gotta play the aggression play and a little wild right there. Get you the job done right now. Isolate Yepez. See how he runs on this green though. See, he's been pretty. Yeah, I was gonna say pretty clean on the number play afterwards. Let's see if Yepez can get the switch over. No, now we're tied.
It's a great utilization of that wild to draw it now back even. Drip with the possession. Gonna have to work on that number efficiency, make sure that he doesn't give Yepez any opportunity to swap the color over, keep him iced out in the green.
Drip taking his time here, trying to get to the point where he feels comfortable Maybe with a run, let's see, but it'll go down. Going to go classic draw out as well through range dry.
Or did he? I mean, there could be a situation where he may have a green, but it's in a number he doesn't want to play.
Could be a case of
we've
just
seen him do
trying
that
to
before back in game 2.
Hold the phone. Here we go. Huge play. Top deck magic for a quad. Yeah. Wow. So we got to ask that one, Seth. I think Yepez is gonna have to put that one in the back pocket right there. You might be on something with that strategic draw.
Question is, what did he draw? Was it the +2? Was it the reverse? I mean, he might have been holding either one of those and then got the chain he needed to now bring it over to the red. But now, out of the color that Yepez was iced in, Yepez might be able to have an answer back, and he does.
Great. Ooh, a little spicy though. So just like game 2, we'll leave it open. Let's see if he gets drip drawn a little bit or maybe forces a +2. So a little spicy play from Yepez as we're going to play a drip card himself. There we go. Yeah, Yama did do that and paid a pretty. We'll talk to him in a second here after this game. Get a little post game. But here comes Yepez now. So Yepez will not get the cards he needs, but there's the switch into the Edward himself. How about that? We'll work around.
Very similar to what we saw back in game 2. A lot of utilization of the +2s, but that's really been the ammo we've seen. A little double play there from Drip.
Yep, and they can take as much time as they want. There's no power play threat from either parties.
Exactly.
There's a chance you could just see single plays the rest of the way. Why risk something stupid? Let's see what it'll be. As there comes Yepez with a triple of his own. 8-minute game here, almost a little bit longer.
Yepez down to 3 cards. A lot of ammo been utilized here. Does he have something to finish this out with 3 cards remaining, or is he going to have to rely potentially on number efficiency as he used up all of his ammunition? Drip, no answer in the blue.
Here comes Yepez now.
This could be a finish, could be a check. No, it's a draw.
Ooh, okay, so that's staying alive, says good old both players. They're going to go both into the draw and just play a little mirror draw now.
See how far back we end up getting drawn on both sides here before one or the other ends up giving a bit of a reprieve with a played card. And yeah, he had 3 cards left. No power play available. You have to wonder if the power play was there, if that had been a finish for Yepez. May have been lacking just 1 card necessary to have the chain to finish this out.
Yeah, now they're just both content here to. There goes Drip into the move, but just really content to play off each other. Now Yepez drawing. Here comes Drip. Now Drip looking to push the pace. He'll go into that yellow 7. It's been controversial the whole series.
Yes, it has.
Now we'll go into red. Tough number switch there from Drip. He couldn't do it. Yepez with a quick over to red. Does Drip have anything in response? He goes back to the heater.
Back to the yellow. Another wild play to ice out Yepez.
Potentially. Let's see. Yepez has got some crazy top deck save earlier that we could have saw. He did draw a little bit on that blue. You never know. But that's a good heater from Drip. As we are, I think. What we have, Sam? We there? We there now? I think we should be over.
Slight miscalculation. It's 35-29, not 25-29 that I was looking at.
Okay, gotcha, buddy. Yeah, I think we're gonna get that ceremony pretty good. Well, there's the heater, Seth. I told you. At top deck, you might have saved some, but it's not a finish, so Drip will have a chance to counter back. That's interesting.
Draws him back to 9 cards, but Drip at least does get that +4 out and onto the table.
And Yepez drawn, so that's
gonna have to draw here in the red.
Yeah, now it's well, Drip gonna go back with him. Okay. Well, congratulations, Yepez. We're pretty much over 24 hours of it. So we'll get to that ceremony in a minute. Here comes Drip. Hold the phone now. Drip going to try to eliminate that ceremony here and you still win.
color does Drip try to swap over here?
On yellow in the back pocket. You got to think that's something to look into.
Yep.
He can take as much time as he wants. That's the beauty with no power play for both. You can really think this one through and make the right calculated call, and he will just draw. So that's intriguing. Yepez not buying that. Nope.
Nope.
If anything, it just keeps the scoreboard in check. Still keeps it a 6-possession game. Now Drip. Let's see. Really thinking this one through. Let's see if he's got something on his top decker. And I'll just play a draw. Okay. As background character joins us. Drip now. I think you gotta think here, Yepez. Yepez said you gotta think here. Both are playing draw save, but I think Drip, what he's looking at here is when to make the break. I think Yepez, and his end, he's thinking, okay, how do I play with the delta on the possession? Because you got a 7-possession lead. You're also looking for a top deck, but you have some time, and there we go. So he's going to make the break here.
Breaks into the blue.
Oh, Drip.
Drip brings it
Back to
right
red.
back to red.
Did Yepez have a 3 save, though? The glove saving a beauty, as they call it.
Yes,
he
did.
does have a glove saving a beauty. Oh!
Has it
Don't
at
know about
check.
I don't know about green, though. That's a bit great move. What a move.
Man.
What a move. Gotta respect that play. It's a KT classic. That's a great play, Seth. You gotta think, now you're just hoping there's no top deck, but a great play.
Absolutely great play. He is. Oh, look at this, though. Top deck.
Does Yepez have a 5? We've been here before.
Oh, he had the 5. He had the 5. Are you kidding?
We've been here before.
Wow.
I've seen this one. This is a classic. Wow, that's crazy, man. The topper off the 5, and that is insane.
That's nuts.
We'll go to Yepez here. Go ask him a question. That is crazy. That is insane. 24-hour win, yep.
Yepez, we talked about it at the beginning of this series. It seems like the trend here in this Tire 32 round has been, minimalizing the mistakes and relying on the meta of the bot. Exactly what you were able to do here. You played really well with the number efficiency. Yes, you got iced out a couple of times on the blue and on the red, but you always seem to have a counter for it with the top deck drawing, and then just that low percentage of getting the exact card you needed. You needed that red 5 to be able to get you to the green 5 to close this thing out. You're now up 3-1. I'm going to be honest, I kind of second-guessed both the utilizations of the power plays in the early portions of this game, but now, in retrospect, just how important was it to utilize that power play there and be able to now draw this up a 3-1 advantage going into Game 5?
Yeah, that is a crazy top deck. I'll go to Drip. I don't know what to say, man. I mean, you played everything. You had the wilds. The isolations were on point. Do you just got to say maybe the only thing you could have pushed the pace a little bit earlier on the initial +2 when you did that quad chain? Could you maybe have pushed the pace on that green +2 and maybe saved one of those wilds? Other than that, I think it's just a case of, hey, you know what? Got to respect it. Just a top decker gone wrong. I think you stopped Yepez in his tracks for sure.
Yepez saying he was 1 or 2 cards short the whole game. Thought he really needed that power play. That's the tough thing when you end up utilizing the power play very early on, and then you don't have it to call upon later on in the series.
Well, we'll go into Yepez. We'll go to the ceremony, and then we'll get in here in a second. I mean, Yepez. While we wait for Drip to type out, man. I mean, congratulations on 24 hours of Uno, man. This server. You got to think we played almost. Let's call it like it is. I think 720 hours or some crazy number in D1, and you divide that up. It's you're good. Yeah, it's all right. You were about probably like a 0.3%. But your thoughts on being the first guy to have the 24-hour club, basically, the first pioneer of it. We don't know if that'll be an official thing, if we'll call it your club or whatever, but we'll think of something. But your thoughts on just playing 24 hours of Uno, at least in this, sir. Obviously, you played more than 24 hours of Uno. I'm sure in other servers, but just in this server, man, what's been the thrill of coming in here almost, man, 36 months ago? It's good, man. Yeah, shoot, you've been very notorious for these really, 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 really long games. You've been on the damn board for, I don't know, at least 15 times in your career. We'll have to go check that. I do have the sheets in front. I think you've been on the board the longest hours and the games as well, 25 or more, at least a combined 15 times, or at least 10. It's been a lot for sure. You've had some long games. Yeah. Got one more. We'll see. We'll wait for see how Drip types it out. While we do that, Seth, I think we'll also get to end here. So hold on. Not much to say. I think that was 100% skill win, more skill player won that game. However, yeah, I think the aggression, how you win against Yepez, but it's really how you lose versus Yepez. That is a game I wish for, and honestly, aside from a few times, I felt confident in my chance to pull back and skate. You never know, right? No, you just can't predict the 5. I mean, that's what it is. So sometimes those top that you saw that one with the 3s way back when with UNH, and I know I've gotten some lucky ones off the top decks, just off of numbers, and those are more thrilling. If it's the top deck +4, it's kind of almost drinking water. But when you have a top deck 5, those are rare as air. So you have to accept that and just move forward. That's all you can do. Nah, you can't do much about that.
You can only control what you can control, right? Those type of things you can't foresee. You know what the next card is going to be on the top of the deck. You just got to stay within the realm of what you're able to control, and sometimes you end up having something like that happen. I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of if you're on the losing end of it, because you did everything that was possible, at least on your end, to be able to at least try and keep the game going.
Apologies there, someone's typing. But yeah, I think it comes down to a point now. It's if you look at the series here, 3-1. Drip's got chance. We've seen 3-1 comebacks before, but for him, he's going to have to start in this game 5 of what Yepez will pick and how does he go off the switching. We'll go to Ed real quick. Ed, if you want to chime in. Big win over Radden today. We're going to do a little post game. What worked against Radden today, man? What have you been seeing in this game? Obviously, you don't play either one here, but just what have you been seeing from a spectator sport here, and what worked against Radden to get the upper edge today? Go ahead. Give me a minute.
Yeah, with Radden, every game felt close. I will say, I felt like it could have gone either way every time, but I don't know. I was just trying to really be careful with the calculated risks that I took, and it worked out really well. And I figured I might as well come in here and watch some more Uno before class as I eat lunch. You know, it's some good entertainment.
But yeah, man, what have you been learning so far in these both? Obviously, Drip a player. We know the isolation. Yepez a now 24-hour man among many records he's starting to own and contribute to the league.
Yeah, I'm still kind of watching, just going to see how seeing how Yepez plays here against Drip. I think it's it's always good to watch film and see how other people play and see what moves they do, and see if you can adjust anything to your own game based on watching film.
All right, thank you. Enjoy that lunch, my man. Enjoy that victory lunch, and always try some new things here in the booth, Seth. We tried a little bit of some interludes, and in the past when we had double split games, it's always nice to have a little bit of split game. I think a little post game interview is something that we can always do a little bit of a little fun there. But back to this game here, Seth. I think it's going to start with Drip trying to get a little bit of an edge on Yepez. You talked about the aggression, the switching has been, I don't want to say wishy-washy, just hit or miss, and I think that's going to be the key. Who switches first and who goes from there to get the win? Yeah, I think you did. We'll talk about that for sure. But your thoughts on this game, finding how Drip's going to try to get this one back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think to your point, we've seen a lot of light switching here in these first 4 games, and I think it really is going to come down to now, especially if you're Drip. Am I doing the light switches to throw Yepez off, or am I utilizing that to be able to get myself a path to the finish? And I think you have to be focused more on the latter than the former. For Yepez now being up by 2 and 1 win away from taking this series, he can continue to run the same strategy that he's been running this entire series so far, and that's utilizing light switches both offensively and defensively. If he ends up getting iced out on a color, if he ends up finding himself trapped at some point, and he ends up giving up a game here to Drip while he still is on the razor's edge of being able to take the series, he'll still be 1 up. So he's got a little bit of room to work with. You already talked about as well that these two are able to take their time a little bit more. Here's we draw closer to the end of these upcoming games if we eventually end up going into a Game 5 or a Game 6 with both of them utilizing the power plays. So I think that right now for Yepez, he can continue to play the way that he's been playing, but I think for Drip now, I think he's got to be looking a little bit more offensive in his play, especially with the light switches and the number of efficiency that we saw him kind of utilize back in Game 2 rather than on the defensive side.
Well, let's get to that test. It's been a little bit of a longer post game here. We'll get to Game 5 for that. Let's bring my man Charles Sanford back to the fray. Let's do it. Sanford, take the call for Yepez.
Okay, Yepez. What's the call going to be for Game 5 to try and close it out? Yeah,
you can have that one pre-typed.
Did you not have that one pre-typed there, Charles?
No, I didn't this time. I mean,
wow.
I had pre-typed twice, and like he's gone the other way. So I figured, if I don't pre-type it, then he will go for it. So there you go.
Well, you got to think this was coming. I mean, it's a full sender. It's Game 5. Yepez potential last home game unless we get to a Game 7. Let's do it. Blue +2, and now the aggression. We'll find out if it's turned up to 11 here, so that's a great starter for aggression.
Yeah, I mean, Yepez has the home field advantage here in this 5th game. We've seen both he and Drip, though, not really utilize the ammo right out of the gate, and we won't see it here either as he'll play it cool with the blue 5. We've seen Yepez take some shots mid-game. We've seen Drip hold most of his ammo for late game. With it being a 15-card start, I think we're waiting a while before we start to see the ammunition that they got on this initial draw utilized.
Yeah, and they're going to go for a little bit of a blue 4 right there and see how this one goes in the back pocket. Nom doubles up. Here comes Drip. Let's see. He'll go down to the Peter on Jack. See Peter and, of course, Nick later now, 6:30 tonight. Or 6 o'clock, excuse me.
And we had at the end of that last game, we had Yepez saying that there were points where he was 1 or 2 cards away from a finish, but didn't have that power play to be able to call on. You have to wonder, how many of those situations we're going to have here on both sides now, not being able to have the power play to be able to find a finish. They're going to have to really rely on their mastery of skill to be able to get themselves to the promised land, either to draw it to a 3-2 if you're Drip or to take this entire series if you're Yepez.
Yeah, there's Drip with the early heater right there, real early. A quick wild yellow, and now Drip maybe on that aggressive as we go into his own card. Let's see how aggressive he is with this heater. Let's find out.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if this is not as much a check going into the wild yellow as to getting over to a color that he needs. As I said, I feel like he's got to be a little bit more on the offensive side here. But, remember we heard him say back in Game 1 he didn't want to play as aggressively as he normally does. I think now you kind of have to. You're kind of boxed in. It's match point right now.
Yeah, he threw a little caution to the wind, gets out of the yellow into a trip play to red as he's got the lead. Now how Yepez responds back. Does he have a switch back? Let's find out. No, he'll play it clean to Allen. Drip looking to load in. Let's see what he's got in the back end. He'll go into the switch of his own. There it is, Seth. He's starting to turn caution to the wind now for sure in the blue.
Starting to see a little bit quicker play out of Drip as well.
Yeah, maybe some of the internet may have maybe been fixed itself. We'll find out. Oh, Trip's 8. How about that?
Wow, look
Get
at
the
that.
8 ball out. There we go.
Yepez
From
draws
retro
it
to
back
Chamba
to the red.
Oh!
Has the wild again. Man, the wild efficiency for Drip here this entire series has been great, whether it's on the offensive or the defensive side. We saw, 3 wilds played back in the last game to ice out Yepez. Not even +4, it's just the regular wilds.
I think Yepez is going to take that one lying down, though. I think this in this case, I think a lot of wilds have already been played. He's gotten most of the wilds. It's 8-0 on regular wilds. Just shows you they haven't been as powerful. He's going to do the same move again.
I was gonna say we were down to 5 and 7 cards each. We were down in that middle tier now where ammo would start to come to light, and you see it there. This is, I think, the 3rd time we've seen him make this kind of a play, and then Drip with an answer back. This is the 2nd time of those 3 plays that Drip has had a +2 to be able to answer back with.
Israel Drip obliges here. That's +6 Yepez. So he's got the lead now. Does he throw another one? That'd be something. He will! Holy moly. Just gotta make sure. Is that it is a comeback noted. We have not had many comebacks at all in this tournament. We had one failed one with 34, and I think it was somebody yesterday, but
yeah, that
happened.
one happened just yesterday. It was in the Leah game. Gone. Yeah, Gone was the one that came back and then didn't. Still went on to win that match though.
Yeah. So no official comebacks yet. This will be the first one, at least of note, I can think of. I can't. At least I've been here for. I haven't been here for every game, but
Yepez with the color swap over to the blue. Ices out Drip. And now Drip brings it back into the yellow.
Into the yellow from Drip. Now it's going to come down to number efficiency. 10 possessions for Drip. A long way to go.
Yepez has a lot of cards here, too. You never know what could be just under the surface there.
Well, Drip's got to. You got to go aggressive. You got to go aggressive with the switching. Get him off kilter. There's no time to just be playing passive here. It's time to turn the wick up to 11, and that's what he's doing. For Yepez, you actually can play a little bit more of that number efficient. You have more to work with and bide your time. So it's going to be a game of patience versus aggression for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's down 3-1. We're in Automotive April. It's all gas, no brake right now if you're Drip. You can't afford to let off the gas at this point in time.
No, absolutely not. It's all gas, no brake as we go into a Logan 3. And Sanford's going to say something.
You had the perfect opportunity there, and you didn't go for the classic NR line. Come on. Shame on you.
I mean, I don't think we're at the point. There's not been enough mistakes to warrant Arca brakes, Charles. So, I mean, you know.
I was talking about the line of saying never lift.
Oh, well, we already full sent, so, you know, that was already a given.
Well, yeah, but you said all gas. There's a perfect opportunity there to say never lift.
Well, you said it now, so I don't have to say it anymore.
Yeah, but it doesn't work as well when I'm saying it now, after the fact.
I'll be honest with you, Seth. There's no Arca brakes. There's when you get these stream games, when you get to this point in the tournament, these guys know what they're doing.
Exactly. They're firmly in control.
But the lifting, Drip doesn't know anything about lifting. He only knows one speed. Yepez is a guy that has multiple gears. He knows both fast and slow on the pace. So it's going to be interesting to how they play.
Maybe at some point.
I'm
trying to anticipate when Yepez is going to get a switch here because I'm imagining there's going to be a switch at some point. Well, never mind.
No, maybe not.
No.
Oh, it's good. It's good to hear from a background. I'm glad he's going to get the issue fixed. Appreciate him joining. Well, here comes Yepez now. Yepez, we talked about buying the time with the numbers, with all those 18 cards at one point as he whittles down. This is his time to use it, as he'll play it clean. Let's see if Drip can get the 2 efficiency, though. Nothing here, so now the game becomes a little bit different here.
Oh, nice. Little ditto play there.
Yeah, you basically bank on nothing's coming on that top deck. Play the double use right there, and hope for live for another number. Let's see if it works. Here comes Drip. This time another wild. Unbelievable. Wow. That's 9 wilds, man. 9-0 on wild. That is insane.
Does Yepez have an answer here, though, to maybe try and bring it back to yellow?
He's got an end around play. That's what I would think. Either that or does he just maybe let Drip run a card and see how it goes? You got to think a lot of the ammo is being burnt off. There could only be one. I think one regular wild left. Yeah,
you think you're
really
right,
the +4. He's just gonna burn off a card, see how it goes, see if Drip's got anything. Smart play, test him a little. Now the question becomes, Seth, is Drip hasn't been staying too long on these wilds all game though. He's been maybe 1 or 2 cards and just dances around it. So I wonder how much more he can dance around it with 9 wilds in the old back pocket, as more people do this. There we go.
There we go. Little quad puts it back into the yellow. He got it back to the yellow. Does Drip have the number efficiency to be able
old
to...
school table check.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay.
Oh, wow, he did! He had the yellow reverse to be able to get it over into the blue and then draws.
What a play. And that's what Drip's known for, is another long game in stores. Here we go again. That's been the classic with these guys, man. This is what they live for. Both guys can play this game of just drawing back and playing that content Uno.
Now it's a question of who blinks first. Both of them appear to be iced out on the blue. Yepez, he'll be the one to blink first.
Drip have anything? He's going to the green.
Goes to the green.
what Yepez had earlier on that green, the start of the green skip reverse train. He'll have some more here. Rips that. Let's see if Yepez got anything. Yeah, that green, man, I'm telling you, sometimes that green can be a little bit over and done with.
So Yepez currently out on the blue and the yellow. Drip out on the blue and the green.
Yepez plays a green deuce. Drip, that's aggressive right there. So that's
that
really,
opens
no
it up.
red.
We haven't been in red for a while here. Oh, but Yepez out on the red. That's surprising. I would have thought both of them be able to run in red.
And then now it's the same thing Yepez did earlier with the twos. Hoping he doesn't get a topper. That's not going to do much harm. That might actually give Drip a chance with the opener on the skip. That might have been
a topper there.
Nope, just closes it off. Drip now back in front. Back and forth. Back to green!
Into the green. Oh, man.
Is that an ISO play, though? Is that an ISO play? No, back to these double toppers on the fives and the deuces. Now hoping Drip doesn't get a topper. No topper from Drip. Man, that is crazy, man. That is some fine work on the toppers. Now Yepez running the greens more.
Drip back to red. We're going two-color.
But does Yepez have a 7 to the party?
Yes, he does. And brings it back to the green again. I think Yepez is running to the end with green. Oh, but wait! Hold the phone!
Goes for the queen. He's got a waste.
Wow!
Oh, and now Drip can run the M.
Draws it back even 2-2.
No topper. Here comes Drip.
Oh, my goodness.
Drip looking to score here.
Puts it to red. Did Yepez draw any red here in those two cards he had to draw?
Oh, my goodness. He's gambling on something. Does Yepez have anything?
Oh, he had an answer back. Draws it back even at 3.
Crazy sequence. We've had a lot of them so far on these streams, Seth. What does Drip get off the +2? He'll get the regular. That could have been a finisher. Oh, great save. If it was
very well have been. That could have been the final card.
Yepez top decks a background. We're drawing again. Holy moly. Man, I got to catch my breath. We weathered the storm. Thank God. That was crazy. Holy moly. Yikes. I mean, we're going to put on a show. We said this, and that's the definition of putting on a show.
It's all on the line right here.
No lifting. It's all gas, as you said. No brakes.
Yepez. Oh, there's a swap over to the yellow.
These guys are trying to kill us, I think. Back to yellow. Oh, he's got what does he have, man?
I don't know. I've been trying to get a read on what Yepez has. I think at the end he was running in green, but now I don't know what either of them have. With when we won that little mini draw city, I don't know what either of them is trying to run in now to finish this thing out.
Yeah, I'm lost on this one. This is going to be a case of there's no need to read. We're just going to watch the cinema play out. I don't got my... Is that a top decker? Might be a top decker. That's his famous game. It's over. Game time. Let's see. That was an insane series, though. That's probably going to be a top decker +4 here, Seth. Has to be. Or some type of yellow enabler. Let's see. Here comes Yepez. Finishes home, Seth. Got it.
Oh, there's the +4. We haven't seen many of them this entire series. Gets it over to the blue. I thought he was having to finish out in green, but it may actually be in blue that he was holding. And again, to your point, can take his time, and he'll bring it back to the green to close it out. Yepez will move on, taking the series 4-1. Top decked a +4 to get him to the promised land.
That was only his second +4 the entire series, man.
That's crazy.
You got to understand, that is. I mean, Drip had 9 of them to 0. And somehow I think the regular wilds was just not as powerful compared to... I'm going to assume the reverse skip +2s had a little bit more, but I think it was just a number efficiency on this one.
It really was. It absolutely was.
Go ahead and ask Yepez a question, man. That was crazy. That was a crazy last game. Not gonna lie, that was insane.
Yeah, great way to close out this series here. Yepez, congratulations on the victory and moving on. to the sport mode 16 to face off against Laura, but I mean the back and forth there. I mean, we're able to kind of have the spectator point of view and try and figure out the reads on both sides. We talked about the fact that you and Drip have had a tremendous job this entire series of being able to read each other, have an idea of what each other has, and play accordingly. But when we started getting down there to the nitty-gritty at the close of this final game, at what point was it no longer being able to rely on reads and just kind of hoping that the number efficiency worked out?
Trip, that was... you really had every move right. You got it down to the end there. +2 save probably saved Yepez with that red 4 potentially. Was that a case, I think, with the wild card? Were you just not too... was it not too powerful? Were you able to make those enabling plays? And unfortunately, number efficiency just bit you in the butt today? And that's something to work on for the future tournaments? And screwing that game by, because that was classic. But what did you learn from this game? You may have not got the win, but you learned a lot today for future tournaments. And for Yepez, man, 24-hour victory, first one to do it. Good job there.
And Yepez saying that he actually drew the +4 earlier. His last draw was the blue reverse. So I actually did have that read correct, that he was trying to finish it out in green. And then that blue reverse helped him be able to chain together what he needed to be able to close it out in combination with the +4 in his remaining greens. But man,
wilds here, yeah.
I feel like we abused the word top deck here in these final 3 games.
I'm wore out, man. That was a classic game. They wore us out on that one. But you look
at green reverse. My bad.
No, that's not your fault. I think he meant to say blue. These guys' words confused. But yeah, I think.
To be fair, when he said when it came across, and I was like, wait a minute, if the last draw was the blue reverse, he could have +4'd that way earlier.
Yeah, I think he meant. That's not right. I think it was either green or yellow. I was thinking so. It was green, yeah. But yeah, I think this game really proves that there's more metas than you can buy off you can shoot. We talked about there's skip reverse meta +2. I mean, when it wasn't the case today, it really was more of a case of number efficiency and top deck meta, which sometimes you get those metas where you have to adjust in the fly. And for Yepez, he adjusted to what he needed to accordingly and got the job done in another 5-game set here. He continues his strong start to the season, joining the final 4, really, the only 4 to have 5 or more wins, getting his 6th win on the season, for sure.
And it really just shows the multifacets of this tournament as well, with this new bot meta and everything as well. As you alluded to, everything that we end up seeing here in this series, not necessarily indicative of what we expect when we end up having card starts of 12 or higher. And the fact that we had to kind of see the norm kind of take a step back here and see these guys have to adapt to what they were given. I mean, we end up seeing, as alluded to by Yepez, only 3 +4s in 232 cards played. I mean, you don't hear those kind of odds. It mostly came down to not only the number of efficiency, but really the only ammunition that we really saw here. We saw a lot of the +2s, and then we saw the efficiency in the wilds, the regular wilds played, and most of them played in an ice-type way, an ice-type method. So the efficiency on those had to take paramount since you didn't have the +4s to be able to fall back on.
Running with a lot of plays into my stall tactics. I think the ability to control the color is one of my biggest, strongest suits, but it just happens to be one of Yepez's, right? As a 2023 world champ, for sure. Yeah, I learned a good amount. I showed a good amount. I honestly think I am a top 25 player in the league and have no business in a novice class, but I need to make it out of the 32 to really have that any merit. This is a type of game why people come and play this league. I highly recommend this as the premier comp in the world. Respect to that, my man. Appreciate those words. Yeah, Seth, I think one thing to really back off with Drip, I think he's got potential, right? He's got 2 wins on the season. Some guys are at 0. I think for him, it's just going to be about using it as a building block. He'll have all 5 tournaments this year instead of last year where he just got some unfortunate luck with some bad breaks on scheduling and a DQ win, unfortunately. I think he's been one of the more efficient players in this league. I think he'll be all right. For Yepez, though, as he moves on, I don't know what to expect from him and Lara. They've never played each other. It's hard to believe. In that 16, we'll see. Yepez, yeah, you got to get that to him. But yeah, that'll be a 20-card comeback. Sanford will note that in Game 5 when we get to the log. I'll see. I mean, Yepez, I'll ask you real quick your thoughts on Lara. That's an unknown because a lot of people thought that would be you and Clay, but now you get Larahuo. You've had a pretty interesting run to start the tournament here. What are your thoughts on playing someone you may have never played in the past and how you try to tackle them? That's a whole different style. Larahuo is definitely a different player compared to, let's say, Clay or someone.
While he's answering your question, you talk about Lara and the path that she's had, taking on a upset number 4 upset over Bowtie, a number 5 seed upset over Clay, as you alluded to as well. So, you go back to the words that Drip had there at the close of his statement, and the competitiveness of the tournament. I mean, the seeding is a number. It doesn't have anything to do with who's going to be the favorite going in, who's going to be the one moving on. The competitiveness we've seen back in T1, we saw a lot of upsets there. We're starting to see upsets formulate here in the Tier 32 portion of the bracket. It's anybody's match, anybody's series on any given day. If you just play it correctly and you end up getting lucky with the bot and with the draws and with the number efficiency and all those different things that we talked about, all those bullet points, if you follow all those to the letter, you can take down a number 1 seed. And, Yepez moving on here, we cannot take that Laura versus Yepez match in the upcoming next round. We can't take that for granted, that Yepez is going to go in there and he's going to dominate, potentially sweep, and move on to the Final Four. It's going to be a dogfight all the way through, no matter what seed you're coming in. You could come in as a number 16 seed, you could come in as a number 1 seed. You're still going to be in for a fight.
And that's what we wanted here. When we started this league, the whole point of this was to get to a point where seeding would be very number-esque, right? Just a number. And we've been able to develop with this bot, with the players evolving. It's been truly a fascinating thing, man. I mean, I know I'll take off my commentator role and throw my host hat on. And this is what you want as a host. You got everyone at their max level, and you got it, brother. Appreciate you. Legend ref. All right, my man. No problem. But I think it becomes to a point where you have to respect it. You have you've got everybody on a new level now, Seth. There's no room for error. People here are taking this way more seriously than the past, and I think when you see these results, it just comes down to a point of it's 1 or 2 mistakes, and they're so micro now to where you don't even call them mistakes, just part of the gameplay. That's how good everyone is, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure what to think about the next game between Lara and Yepez. I think the fact of the matter is it gives you a little bit more of we're still alive. It gives you a little bit more of an edge if you do get these wins in dominating long fashion, where you have the endurance metric, compared to the past where maybe you win a shorter series and you don't have that clutch gene at the end. So that's the only thing I would take away. What's your final takeaway before we move on to the next stream?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, normally for these streams and everything, we'll have the pre-match notes and, we'll have the statistics and everything, and then we end up getting halfway through the series, and it's like, well, those notes meant absolutely nothing. I think it's the adage of iron sharpens iron, right? We'll end up seeing those players that come in as the 13, the 14, the 15, the 16 seeds. They faced off in previous tournaments against 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds, and you can easily take on, like a sponge, you can learn from those that have been around in these tournaments and have been able to advance into Super League and all those type of things, have all the accolades. You can learn something from playing with them. It may not seem like it, you may be on the losing end of a series, but you end up taking something away that you then can maybe apply in your next matchup. And in that adage of the iron sharpening iron, that's why I think has made this a lot more competitive. But, I mean, definitely great job here by Yepez. Gets another accolade added to his already lengthy resume with being a 24-hour player here now. Obviously got a lot of experience under his belt, and he'll be definitely utilizing that here against a bit of an underdog story formulating in the Diablo region with Laura.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Thank you for coming out here today, Seth. Appreciate you, man. Send us home. Thanks to Sam for repping as always. Let's get it going. Send us home. What we got on the doctor for later.
Absolutely. So, number 1 seed Yepez moves on, defeating Drip. We got another number 1 seed that'll be in action at 6 p.m. later on tonight. That's Nick taking on Peter Onjack. And then we cap off the evening at 8 p.m. G-Man versus Austin Rogers in the Diablo region. Yepez moves on. We ended up having simultaneous matchups here as Ed able to take down Radin. He'll be moving on to the next round of the Spider region as well. Gonna be a good one tonight here with Nick versus Peter and then G-Man versus Austin. Be sure to tune in to those here on the MRE Uno channel. Again, thanks to KT for joining me on commentary, Charles for being the ref. I've been Seth Cole. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon as we continue on Automotive April here in 2025 T2 in the MRE Uno tournament. Have a good afternoon, everybody. We'll see you guys later on here at 6.
This has been a presentation of MRE Uno Division 1.